For 10 years, I believed Olivia was my forever. But in college, we struggled together. We dreamed together. When money was tight, I stayed. When life became difficult, I stayed. I believed love meant never giving up. I worked overtime. I turned down better opportunities. I sacrificed my own dreams because I wanted us to build one future together. I never imagined that the person I trusted most would become the one to break me. Everything changed during her company's celebration. She proudly stood beside her rich boss, Ryan Foster, smiling in a way I had not seen in months. At first, I told myself I was overthinking. Then Ryan looked at me with disrespect. I couldn't stay silent. I asked him one simple question. Instead of defending me, Olivia raised her hand. Slap! The sound echoed through the entire hall. Hundreds of people turned toward us. She looked me in the eyes and shouted, Asterisk, Ryan deserves respect. Stop embarrassing me. Asterisk, nobody defended me. Some people laughed. Others whispered. I stood there, unable to speak. The woman I had loved for 10 years had humiliated me in front of everyone. At that moment, something inside me broke forever. I didn't argue. I didn't beg. I didn't fight. I simply walked away. That night, I sat alone in my apartment, staring at thousands of photos that told the story of 10 years. Birthdays, vacations, late-night dinners, promises, dreams, memories that suddenly meant nothing. One by one, I deleted every picture. Then I opened my phone. I blocked Olivia. I blocked her number. I blocked every social media account. I erased every connection between us. No goodbye, no final message, no second chance, just silence. I believed that was the end of my pain. I thought deleting her meant deleting the heartbreak, but I had no idea. The worst part of my life was only beginning. The morning after I blocked Olivia, I woke up expecting to see her name on my phone. There was nothing. No calls, no messages, no apologies, only silence. I stared at the ceiling for a long time, asking myself the same question over and over. Asterisk, how did 10 years disappear in a single night? Asterisk, every corner of my apartment reminded me of her. The coffee mug she always used, the blanket we bought together, the photo frame that had once held our happiest picture. Everything felt heavy. For a moment, I almost unblocked her. I almost convinced myself that maybe she didn't mean what she did. Then I remembered the sound of that slap. I remembered the people laughing. I remembered her choosing another man over me. I put my phone down. No, I whispered. Not this time. A loud knock broke the silence. It was Jason. He looked at me and shook his head. Dude, you look terrible. I've been better. I know. He walked inside without waiting for permission. You've been hiding here for 3 days. I just need more time. Jason looked me straight in the eyes. No, you need to stop pretending she's worth destroying your life. I stayed quiet. He sighed. For 10 years, you defended her. I loved her. I know you did. I thought she loved me too. Jason placed a hand on my shoulder. The woman who loved you wouldn't have humiliated you in front of everyone. His words hurt because they were true. Come on, he said. Where? Anywhere except this apartment. I finally agreed. Fresh air didn't erase the pain, but it reminded me that life outside my walls still existed. Later that evening, Jason drove me to my brother Daniel's house. Daniel opened the door and hugged me before saying a single word. You don't have to be strong here. That sentence almost made me cry. Grace smiled gently. Dinner is ready. I don't want to bother you. You never could, she answered. For the first time in days, I sat at a table with people who truly cared about me. Nobody asked me to explain everything. Nobody judged me. They simply let me breathe. After dinner, Daniel handed me a cup of coffee. I've waited years to say this. What? You always loved Olivia more than you love yourself. I looked down. I thought that's what love was. No, he replied. Love should never cost your self-respect. His words stayed with me all night. Over the next week, I slowly started working again. I answered emails. I exercised. I forced myself to smile even when it felt impossible. Then my phone rang. The caller was Sarah, Olivia's closest friend. I almost ignored it. Instead, I answered, "Hello, Ethan, can we talk?" "What is it?" She hesitated. "I think you deserve to know the truth." My heart tightened. What truth? Olivia is spending every day with Ryan. I closed my eyes. They've been together since the party. I see. I'm sorry. Don't apologize for something you didn't do. There is something else. What? She keeps asking why you haven't called. I couldn't help laughing. A quiet, painful laugh. She expected me to chase her? Yes. Like always. Sarah didn't answer. Her silence was enough. I won't. Ethan. No. I begged enough during the last 10 years. I know. This time, I'm choosing myself. After ending the call, I stared at my blocked contacts. Olivia's name was still there. One tap could bring her back. One tap could reopen every wound. Instead, I locked my phone. I looked out the window and took a slow breath. Maybe silence wasn't weakness. Maybe silence was the strongest answer I had ever given. While Olivia waited for me to come back, I kept walking forward without looking behind me. For the first time in 10 years, I understood something that changed my life forever. Sometimes the bravest thing a man can do isn't fighting for someone who keeps hurting him. Sometimes the bravest thing is quietly walking away and never turning back. A week passed after I chose silence. The pain was still there, but it no longer controlled every breath I took. I focused on work, stayed close to my brother's family, and tried to rebuild the pieces of myself that had been broken. Then Jason called. "You're coming with me tomorrow." Coming where? A technology business event. I sighed. I'm not in the mood. I wasn't asking. I don't belong at those events anymore. Jason laughed. "Stop talking like your life ended. Get dressed. Be there at 10. I'll think about it." "No, you'll come." The next morning, I stood outside the convention center wondering why I had listened to him. "You look nervous," Jason said. "I'd rather be at home." Trust me, sometimes one decision changes everything. I didn't believe him. At least, not yet. The event was crowded with business owners, investors, and software developers. People smiled. They exchanged business cards. They talked about the future. I felt like I didn't belong. While Jason greeted old friends, I quietly walked toward the coffee area. That's when I heard a frustrated voice. "Oh no." I turned around. A young woman stared at her laptop with panic written all over her face. "Please don't do this today," she whispered. Without thinking, I stepped closer. "Is everything okay?" She looked up. "My laptop crashed." "I'm sorry. I have my presentation on it." "When does it start?" "In 20 minutes. She looked ready to cry. "I might be able to help." "You can. I'm a software engineer." She handed me the laptop without hesitation. "I'll owe you forever if you can save those files." I smiled. Let's see what happened. A few minutes later, I connected the drive to another system. "Good news." Her eyes widened. "You found them?" "They're still here." She covered her mouth. "You're serious?" I nodded. Nothing was deleted. She let out a deep breath. "I thought everything was gone." "You should always keep backups." She laughed softly. "I've learned that lesson today." A few minutes later, her presentation opened perfectly. She looked at me with grateful eyes. "I don't even know your name." "I'm Ethan." "I'm Sophia Bennett. It's nice to meet you. You saved my biggest project." "I just fixed a laptop." "No." She smiled. "You saved my day." Before walking away, she stopped. "Would you like to meet someone?" "Who?" "My father." I don't want to interrupt. "You won't." A few minutes later, she introduced me to a confident older man. "Dad, this is Ethan." Henry Bennett smiled and shook my hand. "So you're the man who rescued my daughter's presentation." "I only repaired her files." Sophia laughed. "He's being modest." Henry looked at me carefully. "What kind of work do you do?" I explained my experience, the projects I had managed, and the software I enjoyed building. He listened without interrupting. Finally, he smiled. I like honest people. Thank you. My company is starting a new software division. I blinked. We need someone to lead it. I wasn't sure I had heard correctly. Me? Yes. You don't even know me. I know enough. What you mean? My daughter trusts you. He smiled again. That's usually a good sign. For the first time in weeks, I felt something I thought I had lost forever. Hope. As we continued talking, my phone vibrated. Unknown number. I ignored it. A few seconds later, it rang again. Unknown number. Sophia glanced toward my phone. You don't have to answer if you don't want to. I don't. She nodded without asking another question. That simple respect meant more than she probably realized. The phone rang a third time, then a fourth. Voicemail after voicemail. Jason walked over. Olivia? I think so. You going to answer? I looked at the screen. No. You sure? I already said everything I needed to say tonight. I blocked her. I pressed the reject button. Silence returned. Sophia never asked who kept calling. She never asked why I looked sad. Whenever my phone lit up, she simply changed the subject. So, what? I hope you'll accept my father's offer. I looked at Henry. I'd like that. He smiled warmly. Good. We'll build something great together. As the event came to an end, I stepped outside into the evening air. For weeks, every door in my life had seemed closed. Love, trust, happiness, all gone. But standing there, holding a new opportunity in my hands, I realized something. Sometimes life doesn't reopen the door you lost. Sometimes it quietly leads you to a better one you never expected to find. And while I was finally beginning to move forward, somewhere else, Olivia was dialing my number again, still hoping I would answer. She had no idea I never would. 3 months passed faster than I expected. Every morning, I walked into Henry Bennett's company with a purpose instead of pain. The new software project challenged me in ways I had almost forgotten. For the first time in a long while, I wasn't just surviving. I was living again. One afternoon, Henry walked into my office with a smile. Ethan. Yes, sir. I reviewed your team's progress. I waited nervously. You've exceeded every expectation. Thank you. No, he laughed. Thank yourself. You earned this. His words meant more than he probably realized. Not long ago, I believed I wasn't good enough. Now someone I respected believed in me. As Henry left, Sophia walked in carrying 2 cups of coffee. I figured you'd forget lunch again. I smiled. You know me too well. She handed me a cup. Someone has to make sure you don't live on coffee alone. I appreciate that. She leaned against my desk. You've changed. In a good way. The best way. How? You smile without forcing it. I looked down for a moment. I never thought I'd get here. You did. Not alone. She smiled gently. No one heals alone. Those words stayed with me. Sophia never tried to replace the past. She simply helped me believe there could still be a future. That evening, my phone rang. It was Sarah. I answered immediately. Hello? Ethan, are you alone? Yes. I found something. Her voice sounded nervous. What happened? It's about Ryan. My heart became still. What about him? I think he's committing fraud. What do you mean? I've seen documents. What kind of documents? Fake company payments. I frowned. Are you sure? I wish I wasn't. She lowered her voice. He's moving money through different accounts. And Olivia? Sarah stayed silent for several seconds. She's signing papers for him. Does she know? I tried warning her. What did she say? She told me Ryan would never hurt her. I closed my eyes. She really believes that? She thinks he's going to marry her. I couldn't find the right words. After everything, after humiliating me, she had placed all her trust in someone she barely knew. Sarah sighed. Ryan isn't in love with her. What makes you say that? I heard him. Hear what? He told another executive that Olivia is useful. Useful? He said she's loyal enough to sign anything. My stomach tightened. So she's being used. Yes. And she refuses to see it. Sarah sounded defeated. I don't know how to help her anymore. I looked out my office window. Part of me felt angry. Another part simply felt sad. I hope she opens her eyes before it's too late. So do I. The call ended. For several minutes, I sat in silence. Not because I wanted Olivia back. That chapter was over. But because I remembered the woman she used to be. Or maybe the woman I believed she was. The next week, news spread through the business community. Government investigators had quietly started reviewing Ryan's company. Nobody knew the full reason, but everyone felt the tension. Employees whispered in hallways. Executives canceled meetings. Lawyers suddenly appeared everywhere. Panic had begun. That same evening, Jason called. You'll never guess. What? Olivia's looking for you. How? She asked 3 of our old friends if they'd seen you. I see. And... What? She emailed you. I deleted it. You didn't read it? No. There were 5 emails. I deleted those 2. Jason laughed softly. Old Ethan would have answered within 5 minutes. I'm not old Ethan anymore. That's obvious. The following morning, Grace looked at me over breakfast. You seem peaceful. I finally understand something. What? Not every apology deserves a response. She smiled proudly. I'm glad you learned that. Later that afternoon, my phone buzzed again. Another unknown email. Another message request. Another attempt. I didn't open any of them. One click could pull me back into a life I had already escaped. Instead, I pressed delete. Then delete again. And again, until nothing remained. Sophia noticed my quiet expression. Everything okay? I nodded. Better than okay. You sure? I just realized something. What is it? Some bridges don't need rebuilding. She smiled. They don't. I looked out the office window as the sun slowly disappeared behind the city skyline. Months ago, I thought losing Olivia had destroyed my future. Now I understood the truth. Walking away hadn't ruined my life. It had saved it. And while I was finally building something honest, the empire Ryan had built on lies was beginning to crack. This time, no amount of money, no amount of power, and no amount of broken promises would be enough to save him. The news spread across every business channel. Within a single morning, Ryan Foster's company was under investigation. Financial fraud, money laundering, forged documents. Every headline exposed another lie. When I walked into the office, Jason was already waiting with his phone in his hand. Ethan, have you seen this? I just did. He finally got caught. I nodded quietly. I knew this day would come. Jason looked at me carefully. You don't seem happy. I don't feel happy. You don't? No, I just feel free. For months, I had imagined getting revenge. Now that karma had arrived on its own, I realized revenge no longer mattered. Truth had finally done what anger never could. Later that afternoon, Sarah called me. Her voice was shaking. Ethan, are you okay? I spoke to the investigators. You did? Yes. I told them everything. I stayed silent. I couldn't keep protecting Ryan. You did the right thing. I should have spoken sooner. You spoke when it mattered. She sighed. Ryan blamed Olivia. For what? He says she's responsible for the missing documents. I frowned, but he made her sign everything. I know. He used her. Yes. And now he's sacrificing her to save himself. I closed my eyes. So that's who he really is. Sarah answered softly. Olivia finally sees the truth. What happened? Ryan tried leaving the country. What? They stopped him. And Olivia? She's completely broken. I thanked Sarah before ending the call. For several minutes, I couldn't move. Not because I still loved Olivia, but because betrayal always leaves scars, no matter who suffers from it. The next morning, my assistant knocked on my office door. Ethan? Yes. There's someone here asking for you. Who? She says her name is Olivia. I froze. I'll send her away. She shook her head. She refuses to leave. I took a slow breath. Let her come in. A few seconds later, Olivia walked inside. I barely recognized her. The confident woman who had slapped me in public was gone. Her eyes were red. Her hands were trembling. She looked exhausted. "Ethan!" I didn't answer. "I'm sorry." Silence filled the room. I made the biggest mistake of my life. I continued looking at her. I thought Ryan loved me. She started crying. He only used me. I remained quiet. I lost everything. My voice finally broke the silence. "You lost everything the day you stopped respecting me." Fresh tears rolled down her face. "I know. I was blind. You were proud. I know. You humiliated me in front of hundreds of people." She lowered her head. I replay that moment every night. "I can't forget it. I don't expect you to." She wiped away her tears. "I just want one chance. One conversation. One opportunity to fix what I destroyed." I looked at the woman I had loved for 10 years. Memories rushed through my mind. Our first date, late-night walks, birthday surprises, dreams about marriage, promises that once felt unbreakable. Then, I heard that slap again. I saw people laughing. I remembered standing alone while she defended another man. I took a deep breath. "Olivia?" She looked at me with hope. "I forgive you." Her eyes widened. "You do?" "Yes." She stepped forward. "Then maybe—" I gently raised my hand. "No." Her smile disappeared. "I don't understand. I forgave you because I don't want to carry hate anymore." She whispered my name. "But forgiveness isn't the same as going back." Tears streamed down her face. "So there's no chance?" I slowly shook my head. "Our story ended the day you chose someone else's respect over my dignity. I was wrong. I know. I'll spend my life regretting it." "I believe you." She covered her face while crying. "I never stopped loving you." I answered honestly. "Maybe you did love me." She looked up. "But love without respect is enough." She couldn't speak. I stood and walked toward the door. Before opening it, I looked back one final time. "I truly hope you find peace." "What about us?" "There is no us anymore. I destroyed that." She whispered through tears. "I'm sorry." "I know." And for the first time since we met, I walked away without looking back. Outside my office, I took a long breath. The pain was still there. Maybe it always would be, but something had changed. For years, I had lived to protect someone else's happiness. I had ignored my own dreams, my own dignity, my own heart. Not anymore. That day, I didn't choose revenge. I didn't choose anger. And I didn't choose the woman I once loved. For the very first time in my life, I chose myself. And somehow, that felt more peaceful than anything I had ever imagined. The morning started like any other. I poured myself a cup of coffee, opened my laptop, and prepared for another busy day. Then my phone exploded with notifications. Jason called before I could even read the headlines. "Ethan, turn on the news." I just woke up. "Do it now." I picked up the remote and switched on the television. The first headline filled the screen. "Ryan Foster arrested in major financial crime investigation." I stared without saying a word. The news reporter continued. "Authorities confirmed that Ryan Foster was taken into custody early this morning after investigators uncovered evidence of financial fraud, money laundering, forged contracts, and illegal company transactions." Jason laughed through the phone. "Looks like karma finally found him." I stayed quiet. "You there?" "Yeah." "Aren't you happy?" I looked at Ryan's picture on the screen. A man who once believed he could buy anything now stood in handcuffs. "I don't know what I feel." "You dreamed about this." "I know, but it doesn't feel the way I expected." Jason became silent. "I guess healing changes people." "Maybe." At work, everyone was talking about the arrest. Employees gathered around televisions. Business websites updated every few minutes. Every headline became worse than the last. Ryan's empire was collapsing. One article exposed hidden bank accounts. Another revealed fake business contracts. Another showed confidential documents investigators had recovered. The man who once laughed at me had become the biggest story in the country. Around noon, Sophia knocked on my office door. "You've been staring out that window for 10 minutes. I smiled slightly. "I've just been thinking." "About Ryan?" I nodded. She sat across from me. "How do you feel?" "I thought I'd enjoy watching him lose everything." "And I don't." "Why not?" "Because I'm no longer the man he hurt." Sophia smiled warmly. "That's growth." "I wanted revenge." "I know. But now—" I looked outside again. "I just want peace." She reached across the desk and gently squeezed my hand. "That's the greatest victory you could ever have." Her words settled quietly inside my heart. Later that afternoon, Sarah called. The court hearing started. "Already?" "Yes. They're presenting the evidence." "What about Olivia?" "She's there." "How is she?" "She looks completely broken." I closed my eyes for a second. I never wanted this for her. "I know." But she ignored every warning. Sarah sighed. She admitted she signed documents without reading them. I remembered every conversation we once had. I had always begged Olivia to slow down, to think carefully, to trust character more than money. She never listened. Now life had taught her the lesson I never could. The following day, I watched part of the court hearing on television. Judge Karen Mills spoke with calm authority. The evidence clearly shows deliberate financial fraud, money laundering, forged documentation, and intentional deception. The courtroom became silent. Ryan looked nothing like the confident businessman I had met months ago. His expensive suits couldn't hide his fear. His lawyers couldn't erase the truth. His money couldn't buy another escape. Justice had finally arrived. The judge continued. "Greed has consequences." Those 4 words echoed inside my mind. Greed had destroyed Ryan. Pride had destroyed Olivia. And forgiveness had saved me. A week later, another news report appeared. Olivia had officially lost her position. Her professional license was suspended while investigators completed their review. The same media that once praised her success now questioned every decision she had made. The internet judged her. The newspapers criticized her. The world she had chosen over me disappeared almost overnight. Jason called again. "So, what? Still don't want revenge?" I smiled. "I don't need it anymore." "You've changed." "I had to." "If you met Ryan today, what would you say?" I thought about the question for several seconds. "Nothing." "Nothing?" "I already won." "How?" "I still have my peace." Jason laughed softly. "I like this version of you." "So do I." That evening, Sophia and I walked through a quiet park after work. The sun was slowly setting behind the trees. Everything felt calm. "You've been smiling a lot today," she said. "I finally understand something." "What is it?" "Karma never needed my help." She looked at me curiously. "What do you mean?" "I spent months planning imaginary revenge. And now, I didn't have to do anything." She smiled. "Life handled it." "Exactly." I stopped walking and looked toward the peaceful lake. For so long, I believed justice had to be loud. I believed victory meant watching someone suffer. I believed happiness would only come after revenge. I had been wrong. Real victory wasn't standing over someone who had fallen. Real victory was standing tall after refusing to fall with them. As the evening breeze brushed against my face, I took one slow, peaceful breath. For the first time in years, my heart felt completely free. And in that quiet moment, I realized the greatest revenge had never been revenge at all. It was becoming someone my past could never break again. Months passed, and life became something I no longer had to survive. I finally had the chance to enjoy it. The software company kept growing faster than any of us expected. New clients arrived every week. New projects challenged us every month. Every success reminded me how far I had come. One morning, Henry walked into my office carrying a folder. "Ethan." "Good morning. I have another project for you." I smiled. "Another one?" "The biggest one yet." "You really trust me that much?" He looked me straight in the eyes. "I don't trust resumes." I laughed softly. "What do you trust?" "I trust character." Those words meant more than any promotion ever could. "I won't let you down." I know you won't. After he left, Sophia walked into my office with 2 cups of coffee, just like she always did. I had a feeling you'd forget your break again. I accepted the cup with a smile. You know me too well. She laughed. I've had enough practice. We walked to the balcony overlooking the city. It's beautiful today, she said. It is. She looked at me for a moment. You've changed. I hope that's a good thing. It's the best thing. How? You don't carry sadness in your eyes anymore. I thought about her words. She was right. The pain that once followed me everywhere had slowly disappeared. Not because I had forgotten the past, but because I had stopped living inside it. That evening, Daniel invited me to dinner. As soon as I arrived, he wrapped me in a hug. I've missed the smile. What smile? The real one. Grace laughed from the kitchen. We've all noticed it. Daniel looked proudly at me. I always knew you'd find your way. There was a time when I didn't believe that. I know, but look at you now. He pointed toward me with a grin, confident, successful, and finally at peace. I smiled. I couldn't have done it without all of you. Grace placed dinner on the table. Family doesn't let family fight alone. Her words warmed my heart. For years, I thought strength meant carrying every burden by myself. Now I knew better. Real strength sometimes meant accepting the people who wanted to help. A few days later, I returned to my office after lunch. My assistant looked nervous. Ethan, what is it? Someone is waiting for you. Who? She hesitated. It's Olivia. I closed my eyes for a brief moment. Then I nodded. I'll speak with her. When I entered the meeting room, I almost didn't recognize her. The confident woman from the company party was gone. She looked tired. Her shoulders were heavy. Her eyes carried quiet regret. She slowly stood. Thank you for seeing me. I sat across from her. What did you want to say? She looked down at her hands. I don't want anything from you. I stayed silent. I only wanted to apologize. You already did. I know. But this time, I don't expect forgiveness. Her voice trembled. I've spent months thinking about everything. She looked at me with tears in her eyes. I finally understand what I destroyed. I listened without interrupting. You loved me when I had nothing. You believed in me before anyone else. I repaid that love with pride. Silence filled the room. I don't deserve another chance. No, I don't. She nodded slowly. I know. She wiped away a tear. I just wanted you to hear me say it. I took a slow breath. For years, I imagined this moment. I imagined anger. I imagined shouting. I imagined making her feel the same pain she had caused me. Instead, I felt calm. Olivia. She looked up. I truly hope you find happiness. She blinked in surprise. After everything? Yes. You don't hate me? I smiled gently. Hating you would only hurt me. She lowered her head again. I'm sorry. I know. She stood to leave. Before reaching the door, she turned around one last time. Can I ask you one question? Of course. When did you stop loving me? I thought carefully before answering. I didn't stop loving you overnight. She listened quietly. I slowly started loving myself more. A tear rolled down her cheek. I understand. She walked away without another word. I watched the door close behind her, and with it, the last piece of my old life disappeared. Later that evening, Sophia found me standing by the office window. You seemed thoughtful. I just closed the chapter. She smiled. Does it feel strange? No, it feels peaceful. She stood beside me. I'm proud of you. For what? For choosing the future instead of the past. I looked at the sunset stretching across the sky. For years, I believed some endings existed only to hurt us. Now I understood something completely different. Sometimes the most painful goodbye becomes the first step toward the life we were always meant to live. Losing Olivia didn't destroy me. It introduced me to the man I was always capable of becoming. And for the first time in a very long time, I looked ahead with hope instead of regret. 1 year later, I stood beneath bright lights, surrounded by applause that echoed across the entire auditorium. For a brief moment, I simply stood there and smiled. The announcer's voice filled the room. Asterisk, please welcome this year's Innovation Leadership Award winner, Ethan Brooks. Asterisk, I walked across the stage, accepted the award, and shook hands with the presenter. The applause grew even louder. As I looked into the audience, I saw the people who had carried me through the darkest chapter of my life. Daniel was smiling proudly. Grace wiped away happy tears. Jason stood and clapped louder than anyone else. Henry gave me a quiet nod of approval, and beside him, Sophia smiled with eyes full of pride. In that moment, I realized something. Success never feels as meaningful when you reach it alone. After the ceremony, Jason wrapped his arm around my shoulders. Look at you. I laughed. What about me? Remember the guy who locked himself inside his apartment? I remember. I almost had to drag you outside. You actually did. We both laughed. Daniel joined us. I told you one day you'd stop surviving and start living. You were right. I know. Grace smiled warmly. We're all proud of you. Thank you. No. She shook her head. Thank yourself. Henry stepped forward. Ethan. Yes, sir. You earned every bit of this. I couldn't have done it without your trust. He smiled. I only opened the door. You chose to walk through it. His words reminded me of the day Sophia's laptop had crashed. One unexpected moment had changed everything. Sophia walked beside me as everyone slowly left the auditorium. You handled that speech well. I was nervous. You didn't look nervous. I've become better at hiding it. She laughed softly. No. What? You become stronger. We stepped outside into the cool evening air. The city light stretched across the horizon. Everything felt peaceful. Sophia quietly slipped her hand into mine. Neither of us spoke for a while. We didn't need to. The silence between us felt comfortable instead of painful. Finally, she looked at me. What are you thinking about? I smiled. The slap? She blinked. I didn't expect that answer. Neither did I. What about it? For a long time, I believed it was the worst moment of my life. And now, I think it saved me. She listened carefully. If Olivia hadn't humiliated me that night, I looked toward the sky. I would have spent the rest of my life chasing someone who never truly valued me. Sophia gently squeezed my hand. Pain changes people. It does. But sometimes... I smiled. It changes them into someone better. She nodded. I believe that. Later that night, I arrived home and placed the award on a shelf. It wasn't just a trophy. It represented every difficult choice I had made. Every tear, every sleepless night, every painful goodbye, every step forward. My phone buzzed while I was making coffee. Jason had sent a message. Asterisk, still can't believe you actually won. Asterisk, I laughed and replied. Asterisk, neither can I. Asterisk, a few seconds later, another message appeared. Asterisk, did you ever unblock Olivia? Asterisk, I looked down at my phone. Without thinking, I opened my blocked contacts. Her name was still there, exactly where I had left it 1 year ago. Untouched, silent, a memory instead of a presence. I stared at the screen for a few moments. One tap, that was all it would take. One tap could bring her number back. One tap could reopen a chapter that had already ended. Instead, I locked my phone. I smiled to myself. Some people deserve forgiveness. I had already given mine. But forgiveness never meant giving someone another chance to break me. Some doors should remain closed forever. The following weekend, Daniel invited everyone to dinner. As we laughed around the table, I realized something beautiful. A year earlier, I thought I had lost everything. Now I looked around and saw family, friends, purpose, peace, love built on honesty instead of pride. Sophia caught me smiling. What? I was just thinking. About work. I shook my head. About life. And I used to believe losing 10 years meant my life was over. She waited quietly. I was wrong. How so? I didn't lose 10 years. She smiled. What did you gain? I looked around the room one more time before answering. I gained the rest of my life. Nobody could erase what happened. Nobody could change the choices we had made. The betrayal would always remain part of my story, but it no longer defined who I was. It became the lesson that taught me my worth, the ending that created a better beginning. As I looked toward the future, I didn't see regret anymore. I saw endless possibilities. And with the people I loved beside me, I finally understood the greatest truth of all. Sometimes the best chapter of your life begins the moment you find the strength to close the one that was never meant to last. The end.